take those moments as a passage and then go back to find and rebalance. Accept those busy moments, but then stop it. Don't overdo it. I mean, we hear from a lot of people that are too stressed, that they think they cannot cope, is because they don't realize when is the moment really to take a break and, in fact, rebalance.
Welcome to the Convene podcast. My name is Magdalina Atanassova, Convene's digital media editor and your host today. I'm happy to welcome you to another episode from our series where we brought together the perspectives of different generations on hot industry topics. In this episode, we discuss how to have a successful career in events with Amélie Trémolières and Annalisa Ponchia. Amélie is Communications and Events Operations Lead at the European Society of Association Executives. On the other side, we have PCMA board member Annalisa Ponchia, Director of Innovation and Customer Experience at AIM Group International. We talk about what it is like to have a career in events from the two sides of the coin, just starting or having spent many years in the industry in various roles. Hear why one shouldn't be scared of the report saying that this is one of the most stressful jobs out there and how to build your own resilience. Enjoy the episode. Welcome, both of you, to the Convene podcast. It's a pleasure to have you both on and to discuss career in events. Let's start directly with some introductions. Annalise, maybe let's start with yourself. Can you introduce yourself briefly and share with us for how many years you've been in the industry?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. It's a pleasure to be here with Amélie, of course, and discuss with a young peer about career development. I've been in this industry for 30 plus years, so it tells a little bit of the story and the experience. I have to say, in brief, the three major stages on that. The big one first, it was about 10 years with my own PCO companies, so like an entrepreneur. The second one was with the medical association. I was the CEO of the European Society for Organ Transplant for 13 years, second block, second stage. And the third one in my career is now with AIM Group International, which I joined about 5 years ago. It's a Director of Innovation and Customer Experience.
Oh, Amélie.
I'm very new in events. I've joined my current organization 8 months ago, and that's my first full-time job. Very new. I work for the European Society of Association Executives, also known as ESA, and I'm the Communications and Events Officer.
Wonderful. Thank you. And welcome to the industry, we can say. It's a bit...
Yeah.
What initially attracted you to a career in events? Amélie, maybe let's start with you.
At first, I wasn't planning to start a career in events. I'm doing communications. I have a master's in public and political communication, so that was my first choice. But then I did an internship at the Center for European Policy Studies in communications and events, and I really liked being involved with so many different stakeholders and all the dynamism that is around it. So I continued my other internships by combining communications and events all the time because I really liked. I think that communications, you can really be behind your laptop for a full day. In events as well, but events also has this community, person-to-person side, like you can talk to people, engage with many people, so that's why I really like to combine both. And yeah, when I saw this job offer at ESAE for a communications and events officer, which involved doing various events with many different European associations for various industries in the dynamic environment of the EU bubble, I didn't hesitate to apply, and that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah. Annalisa, do you remember?
I do, of course. I mean, it was a different evolution back then. I mean, we were in event organization because we came mainly from the logistic world. I came from the tourist world, of course. And at that time, I would say organizing an event was mainly about logistics. It's fantastic to see, obviously, the way that this evolved. Now, the logistics is just, I would say, a small part of it. Obviously, it's something you have to master very well. But the buzzword and the new things on event management is, of course, about communication, in fact, sustainability, innovative design, and all that. Yes, that's the way I started. And I have to say, on the opposite of Amélie, we did not have such a specialization in event management. Now you can really find a lot of courses in university or hotel schools offering this kind of expertise and courses on event management, but we were literally learning on the job.
And did you realize that that's one of the most stressful jobs that you can have when you began?
Is that for me or for Amélie? I think she's too new to realize that. And by the way, I would not agree it's the most stressful job. I mean, there's so many stressful jobs, I believe. It's long hours sometimes, especially when you are on site, when you are in operation. But if you do it with passion, I mean, you just get yourself into it, you don't realize it's stressful, so to say. It's stressful only when you are doing sort of a copy-paste of your project every day, but if you do something new, you simply enjoy it. So I would say, I would like to encourage anyone getting into this career not to think it's too stressful. Go for it.
Have you felt some of the stress, Amélie?
I'm stressed sometimes, but I agree with the fact that I don't think it's the most stressful job in the world. There are many stressful jobs and stressful industries.
Yeah.
Events is one of them, but we need to keep in mind that nothing ever goes perfectly. And that's very true about events. And our job is to do the best we can, avoid as much mishaps as possible. But it's a mindset and stress management strategies to develop. Yeah, I don't think it is the most stressful job.
That's good. That sounds encouraging for everyone that wants to join or is thinking about joining our world.
Yeah.
And how do you personally find meaning in your work? What brings you that real connection?
I would say it's the relationship that you have with human beings, generally speaking, whether they are colleagues or participants to your events or clients. So there is a lot of that component. And I would say at this stage of my career, having seen a lot of situations, I like to take a sort of step back, when you look at this variety of audience and variety of people you have to deal with. And it's so interesting to see from the body language, from the relationship, from the dynamics, what brings people together, which is the essence of the meeting and the event industry, right? We bring people together. Where I'm now, I'm the observer on how these people behave when they are together. And you can take it from there to plan for the next event, because you know what makes people to feel happy, what they enjoy when they are at an event, what they don't like, why they have to be there. So there's so many questions observing people, and this should be your driver in planning events.
To me, it's more about the content of our events. At ESAE, we do a lot of events on sustainability, diversity, equity, inclusions, and we do events for association professionals who represent different industries and who, in turn, can influence their own industries. And when we do an event on sustainability and DI, and we see people changing mindset, exchanging on this topic, we know that we're making a difference on so many sectors that I find it very meaningful. And it's kind of related with what you just said, because talking with people after an event and seeing that we made them think, exchange knowledge, learn, and that they will change their practices, adapt, it's really how I witness the impact I have on people and on, I hope, on society after. So that's how I find, meaning in my job.
That's awesome. And the million-dollar question, do you believe you found work-life balance? Do you think such a thing exists? Annalisa?
As far as I'm concerned, it perfectly exists. If it's not there, I find it. Work and life balance is a fundamental for me, especially now. I appreciate a lot my free time, and I have so many activities that I do. I love sport, first of all. So majority of my free time is dedicated to, either bicycling or hiking, name it. And I think in addition to that, any, sport activities, it builds on your body, on your mind. And talking about the stress, as we say before, it's so helpful to support you when you have to deal with, in fact, long days or stressful situations. So that's part of what I put in my daily routine, and I try really to find that kind of good balance. There are, of course, there have been moments when, depends on the time of your career, and you think 100% you're fully focused and dedicated on that. Take those moments as a passage, as a period of time, and then go back to find and rebalance. That would be my suggestion, of course. Accept those busy moments, but then stop it. Don't overdo it. And that's where we hear from a lot of people that are too stressed, that they think they cannot cope, is because they don't realize when is the moment really to take a break and, in fact, rebalance.
Build resistance through
whatever. For someone, a hobby. Yeah, for someone might be cooking for 8 hours, or somebody else. I don't know, God knows. But build that resistance and understand when is your breaking point. Stop before you get there.
I totally agree. I have 100% the same approach. I know that there are periods in events where it's really about ups and downs in terms of activity. And I know that, for instance, in my area in Brussels, September is very, very busy. June is also very, very busy. It's also where we have our most important events, or two most important events. And I know that during those periods, I will work a lot. I will work more than my normal working time and stuff. But I know that in other periods, I can take more time to do my personal stuff and recover at the same time, get ready for the next period and plan ahead. Yeah, I think we have to accept in events that there are periods where work-life balance will be difficult, but there are others who will be much calmer, and we need to make the most of them and take this opportunity to do other stuff, see friends, do some sports. I like sports as well. And after a day of work, it's really helpful to go for a run.
Absolutely, go for a run and forget about the day.
Exactly. 100% same approach.
And speaking about this, do you think that AI would help us, would take away some of the stress in the industry, in your roles personally?
Yeah, it's AI a technology at large, I would say. It's not just AI. Yep. We learn that technology through the various platforms, conference management systems, and so on. They help us tremendously. I remember the time where we were sort of recording the registration on an Excel sheet, right? Were we afraid of a conference management platform? Would that take jobs away or detract from the human capability and skills? No, they did not. So if you go back to this kind of transformation and now you think how AI would enter as a different type of technology, I compare the two things that are going to be very similar. If you have used any AI platform, anyone has experiences, I do. It helps a lot in building content, in building programs, agenda, all that kind of things. Sometimes I realized that the time I spend to review what the AI generates says more than if I create it from scratch. But yes, but it's not what they say. It's always better to review a text rather than starting from scratch. So take it that way, make the best use of that, and why not? What will come after AI is another story, and I'm sure there will be something more.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna help in terms of work-life balance because it's going to streamline operations, and the tools we already have, AI tools and technologies, they already help us. As you said, we spend time reviewing, but it still takes less time than starting everything from scratch. And this free time can be used to putting more effort into the content, into personal touch, into creativity and stuff. So I feel quite positive, and it may also release some of the stress due to like operations, because it's true that a big part of our job is not to forget anything, any like detail, any registrants, any like reminders, any kind of anything related to the logistics, and maybe AI will relieve some of the stress by automating these kind of things.
Yeah, just taking away some cognitive load off of us.
Yeah, exactly.
And switching a little bit the topic, what role do you think mentorship, traditional and reverse, can play in creating a more collaborative, multi-generational workplace?
Essential. Mentorship is essential. I mean, first of all, from a senior position, I would say, is my way to give back to anyone in this career. I mean, the mentorship I receive, it's time to give it back. Is a duty, is an ethical duty, I have to say, is a leadership duty. I mean, if you are a leader, you are a mentor as well, by definition. That is the way I see it. It's a fantastic opportunity also, because when you're mentoring someone, you're also learning a lot. So it's not that because you are in a senior position, you don't have anything to learn. You can learn from a young professional, especially a talented young professional, so much. It helps you to bridge yourself into this kind of, new generation, new world, whatever new it is, and makes you to feel at the level of. I see a lot of colleagues, they are standing still on the status quo, and that is the real danger for the senior position. Oh, yeah. Not really accepting any change. Mentoring, I mean, they are patronizing young colleague rather than mentoring. Mm-hmm. I don't like that at all. So I do think mentorship is essential and the best way to go.
And Amélie, have you been in this role of reverse mentorship? So not having a mentor, but you also mentoring back?
No, I'm not mentoring. I didn't have the chance yet. But I still think that mentoring is essential. I mean, in our organization, I'm not like mentoring anyone, but I feel like people in leadership positions are really listening to me, and I really have my say, and they don't judge me or judge my opinion because of my age, and I think that's really important. And they realize that they also have to learn from me. I have a lot to learn from them as well. And this multi-generational exchange is very important. In general, I'm not talking about mentorship programs specific. I think mentorship can also be kind of unofficial, like it can be done just by exchanging with your leaders and younger staff. Yeah. And also, our generation is has gone through COVID, has gone through a digital transformation, and we have a very different approach to work-life balance, to values, and to business. The way we work is completely different from our mentors, one of our mentors. And so it's very important to discuss and exchange to avoid creating too much of a gap that would lead to people not understanding each other and just misfunctioning workplaces. I think that being able to listen to each other and being conscious that we all have to learn from each other is key.
Speaking about that, are you working remotely or do you work from an office?
I work from the office mostly. Officially, I work 2 days from home and 3 days at the office, but I often don't take these 2 days at home and go to the office most of the time, especially when we have big events that are coming.
Yeah, and do you enjoy being in the office and working in person?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it. We are a very small team, so it's very important. It's easier to communicate. I really like it. Sometimes I welcome home office days because it allows you to, you can just do your laundry on the side and then, stuff like that you wouldn't have time if you had gone to the office or Yeah, it helps with work-life balance as well. And it doesn't make you less efficient at work because it literally takes seconds. So this kind of stuff.
I agree. Also, it helps you to understand how your colleagues are in their family life and things like this. You know, sometimes they have the kids and they bring into the conversation. Obviously, not when you are with the client, but when you are with your colleague, you understand much more of them to see them in their family context, which is nice. Although I have to say, a lot of people like to go to the office because the personal connections, especially when you are young in the business and you're, I would say, a little bit less self-disciplined, and you do need to exchange information very often. So again, perhaps a balance of the two possibilities.
It seems that during the pandemic, we really welcomed our colleagues into our homes.
That was extreme.
Yeah.
Of course.
And besides being extreme, I think the mindset, the uncertainty, did not make us to appreciate all that remote working. It was the motivation behind that. Now you choose what is best for you. At that time was just too much to face from a mental perspective.
I just want to start wrapping up this conversation. Amélie, are there any valuable lessons that you've learned during your time in the industry that came by the practice?
I think it's kind of related to what I said before about being prepared that something would go wrong. And that being said, I believe that the most important thing in an event is the sense of community and the ambience that you build. If people are happy with the content, happy of being together, the event will be a success. Even though maybe there is the screen behind may have lagged a little, the music may not have been perfect. If people are happy to be here and people like each other, enjoy talking to each other and have learned, it's going to be a success. While before, I thought event management would be much more about making sure that everything would be perfect. Of course, it's making it as perfect as possible, but it's not the core of the event in the end.
Yeah,
that's what
having
I think.
A heart.
Yeah,
it's very important. And Annalisa, can you give an advice to somebody that wants to join the industry now? We already touched a little bit upon it, but something else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I have to say, first of all, make your network as big as possible. Build on connections. That's very important. If you are able, at a certain point, serve in a board of a sector association. I've been serving in many boards, and I can tell you the value of sitting in a board with peers. It's so important for many different reasons, of course. You learn, you exchange, you build on connections. More than anything else, try to experience the very facets of this work. You're in communication now, for instance, right? But then you have other aspects. I mean, a meeting is built from different kind of blocks, I would say. So try to experience the different perspective. So either is an association first, and then you are with an agency, and then perhaps you are in communication. And most important, and it's something that is undervaluated, is the business model aspect. So very little people are prepared on what is business model, economic, finance, and all that. So whenever you can, at any middle stage of your career, if you can take on an MBA or something like that, it would really support you a lot to really aspire to managerial work, managerial positions, I would say. Depends how ambitious you are, but of course, I suppose you are. But that is, and study. It's not only learning by doing, but it's a lot of continuous study.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear. I love to study. That's weird to say, but
exactly.
Like academic knowledge and stuff.
Absolutely, especially if you have already a good background on that. Yeah,
it's very rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think the future is a mix of academia and practice. And that's why we do events, right? Lifelong learning is how we move forward. It's no longer formal education and a stamp of approval that you know something. But was there anything we didn't address and we should mention before we end our conversation today?
No, not on my side, except a thank you. It's my first PCMA.
Well, I would say just a pledge on sustainability.
Go ahead.
Sustainability is something that is a buzzword, but because I'm currently leading a project for my company, I have to say it becomes also a lot of personal knowledge and understanding of what is behind the buzzword. It's embracing, again, many aspects. It's not just environmental, it's social, it's economical, it's governance, it's fair trade.
Yeah.
Fair trade is something that in this world, I know we are all friends, we're all colleagues, but fair trade is something that the sector should look at. Business model, transparency.
That's
I think
for the
I would like to put a big pledge on this flag.
Yeah. Actually, I said I had nothing to say, but I agree. I completely agree. I mean, sustainability, for many, it's just a buzzword, but as much as it is true for AI, if events don't go sustainable, they will become irrelevant. Because in a few years, it's going to change a lot. Climate change is really going to impact us a lot. And we're not going to be able to do things as we do now. And so I think that we need to start right now to be fully sustainable and not only to use it as a buzzword and not to making events about sustainability without being sustainable ourselves. It's not fair, it's not just, and I think, sustainability should be a first top priority.
Yeah, for sure. I hope that wraps our conversation very well, because also we all know the next generation is just completely with a different mindset in terms of sustainability and has different needs, because after all, we're leaving the planet to them. So we all need to be a bit more mindful of what we're leaving behind us, right? What's our legacy? Thank you both very much for this conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing you again on a different episode.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And if you would like to hear more, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to explore additional perspectives on the industry, check out pcma.org/convene. Until next time.